different and so new, was like any other, until I kissed you. And then that happened. It took me by surprise. I knew that you felt it too, by the look in your eyes, sweeter than wine, softer than a summer night. Anything I want, I have, whenever I hold you tight. Cupid, draw back your bow and let your arrow flow straight to my lover's heart. For me, nobody but me. Cupid, please hear my cry and let your arrow fly straight to my lover's heart. For me, sweeter than a wine, softer than a summer night. Anything I want, I have, whenever I hold you tight. This magical moment, with your lips all close to mine, will last forever, yeah, forever, till the end of time. Oh, time. Oh, time. Oh, magic moment. End of time. Of time.
Excellent. Now, as we move on with the program, we would like to welcome a man from an agency that has aided us to be all that we can be. He's from the Rural Agricultural Agency, Agricultural Development Authority, and he's the Senior Director, Mr. Varn Barnaby.
Good afternoon, everyone. Fellow project stakeholders, and special greetings to the farmers in the Yallahs-Hope River watershed. It is often said that good things must come to an end. But not because this project is ending does not mean that the good farming practices will also end. And I dare say it shall not. Rather, when we first started this project partnership, we recognized and found kinship with the objectives of the project to reduce the pressures of environmental degradation in the Yallahs-Hope watersheds. And we also found that it aligned with our strategic objective to have continuous training for farmers and rural folk to increase their knowledge and capability levels, and also to implement programs that impact on the environment and biodiversity in watersheds and hillside agriculture. So 8 farmer field schools later, and more of the later will come from Andrea and Lorraine, we are here. We recognize that their partnerships with the farmers and the partnerships with the different stakeholders was critical to the successes gained in this project. We'd like to take the opportunity to recognize the leadership of the National Environmental Planning Agency and its project actors in achieving the results of this project. We also recognize that the work to prevent environmental degradation must go on. So even though there has been an ignition of change among the farming communities impacted by this project, we recognize that change must continue and change must continue to grow. RADA will play its part in this regard to continue the growth of change among the farming population. We will continue to pass on the knowledge and technical capability of the organization's technical stakeholders so that the farmers will continue these good farming practices. We at RADA will continue to play our part so that the farmers who would have benefited from this project can continue to reap the benefits of these farming practices that they have employed in part by this project. We encourage the farmers to continue to share the lessons learned and to partner with your fellow farmers the same way we have partnered with you. In closing, RADA is pleased that we were allowed to partner with this project. We felt that it was a good project, and we recognize that there is still yet work to be done. So I ask all our project stakeholders, because during this project, partnerships were forged and partnerships were strengthened. So we ask that we continue in that partnership so that as we create opportunities for the land, we'll also create opportunities to empower farmers. RADA thanks you and commends the National Environmental Planning Agency and the project stakeholders and say job well done as we look forward to a continued partnership for sustainable land management practices and encourage good practices within the watersheds of Jamaica. Thank you very much.
Thank you once again to Mr. Vaughan Barnaby. Now, we'll continue with the remarks from an agency that has been with us from things were very slow. I welcome to the stage a wonderful lady, Principal Director of the Forestry Department, Ms. Donna Lowe.
Thank you, Chair. Pleasant good afternoon, everyone. I bring greetings on behalf of the CEO and Conservator of Forest, Mr. Ainsley Henry, and the entire staff of the Forestry Department. We want to use this opportunity to wish you all the best for 2021. As the theme of today's closing ceremony states, healthy watersheds, better lives, we have come to appreciate the need and importance of clean water now more than ever. As such, we are pleased to join with the National Environmental Planning Agency and other fellow stakeholders in partnership as we bring the curtains down on this project, Integrated Management of Yallahs-Hope River Watershed Management Area Project. As the lead government agency with the responsibility of the management and conservation of Jamaica forest resources, we are fully cognizant of the value of our forest, the many environmental and economic benefits they provide, which include helping to maintain a healthy watershed. As a result, it was our distinct pleasure to be involved in this project that was aimed at improving the conservation and management of biodiversity and, of course, the provision of ecosystem services in these two watersheds. The Forestry Department involvement in this project resulted in the planting and maintenance of just under 80 hectares of forest estate. 80 hectares equivalent to about 190 acres for the layman. In addition to that, this 80 hectares were established in forest estates in the vicinity of communities such as Windsor Castle, Newton, Chesterfield, Dublin Castle, and Petersfield. Additionally, with the essential firefighting tools provided by this project and with the strong support of the Jamaica Fire Brigade, approximately 120 community members were trained by us in forest fire management. These training sessions equip community members with the know-how and the prerequisite knowledge how to prevent forest fires. But just in case there is a forest fire, these residents were also taught how to respond to forest fires in time and utilize techniques to control and suppress to extinguish forest fires. This forest fire training formed part and parcel of the farmer field schools that were executed by RADA, as Mr. Barnaby mentioned. The Forestry Department was also an active participant in the anti-burning road shows. Yes, we had to get onto the roads so that everybody could hear the message. This brought the message of the importance of protecting forests from fires to the layman on the street. We also worked with other project implementing partners to strengthen the awareness of this project activities and the initiatives to bring across the important message of sustainable forest management by staging and participating in several communities' sensitization programs. This opportunity on the behalf of the Forestry Department to publicly thank the Inter-American Development Bank and Global Environmental Facility for providing us with the necessary funding and support to make the achievement under this project possible. As we pause to acknowledge the accomplishment under this project, the Forestry Department will continue its efforts to engage and work with communities to ensure that the forests in the project areas are protected and maintained, and as best as our resources would allow, expanded to include private and individual efforts. Many of their project activities have already been extended into other communities beyond the reaches of this project, but still in the same watersheds of Yallahs-Hope. It is our firm belief that the efforts towards sustainable forest management, which subsumes watershed protection and watershed management, should be sustained beyond the lifeline of a project. This is a must if we as a people, the direct and the indirect users and beneficiaries of the watershed services and resources, are to realize the positive impact of collaborative, sustained efforts. Finally, the Forestry Department, through public and private partnership, will continue to do all that we can to ensure that our forests are sustained for generations to come. Thank you.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom What a wonderful world. Ooh, I see skies of blue, clouds of white, bright, blessed season, dark sacred nights, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They'll be saying, I love you. You babies cry. I watch them grow. They'll know much more than you and I've ever known. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Oh, yeah.
Excellent selection. Strategic planning has been a critical part of our project right along the way, and we must invite at this moment Ms. Sashian Thomas from the project economist from the PIOJ. Welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone. The Planning Institute of Jamaica is pleased to be a part of this closeout function today. It is unquestionable that the Yallahs-Hope project is relevant to the Vision 2030 development objective of Jamaica to maintain a healthy, natural environment through the sustainable management of natural resources. Specifically, by improving the conservation and management of biodiversity and the provision of ecosystem services. The Project 2018, the Project's 2018 midterm evaluation was a critical juncture of implementation. As a result of the findings of the evaluation, the Institute spearheaded a series of discussions which resulted in the rescoping and prioritization of key activities that were to be achieved under the project. Through this rescoping, the institutional coordination was deepened and oversight management was significantly improved, which had a great impact on the multi-agency partnership that was necessary for effective coordination among the ministries, departments, and agencies. Prior to the rescoping of the project, approximately 37.2% of project funds were dispersed, with about 17% of that expended as at the end of July 2018. While at the end of April 2020, approximately 75.7% of project funds were dispersed, with about 71% of that expended. This means that in less than 2 years, total disbursements more than doubled successful implementation. Special commendation must be made to the project executing unit, the National Environment and Planning Agency, the Forestry Department, the Rural Agricultural Development Authority, and the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service. Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you.
Special thanks once again to Ms. Sashin Thomas from the PIOJ. Now, we have been around for over 6 years, impacted the life of over 600 farmers, and we've trained many students in sustainable land management as well as through our flagship program, SWAG. Now it's time for us to brag. I'm going to turn over to a video testimonial from our farmers and our students. Please tune in.
My name is Garfield Willis. I'm from St. Peter's, and I'm the president of the St. Peter's Vegetable and Coffee Group. Before the Yallahs-Hope project, I've been farming before, but I used to do just like a regular farming. I would just go to the farm and, take a bag of fertilizer, walk around, throw it on the coffee and stuff like that. But from the project, I learned how to balance and how to actually save. I use what I have on the farm to fertilize and, to make my proper barriers and stuff like that. So when I fertilize my farm now, coffee, on a large scale, I now do the proper furrowing, which is the far back and throw the fertilizer and cover it. So I will have a more benefit to the coffee itself.
My name is Marjorie Wallin. I am from the Mount Lebanon Farmers Group in the St. Peter's area, East Rural St. Andrew. From Farmers Field School, I've learned to do farming as a business. Usually, you would farm, you just plant something, whatever you reap, you reap, you take it to the market, whatever you use for yourself or give your friend would not record it. But from Farmers Field School, I've learned to do proper recording. Know that I've learned that whatever I'm planting, I make certain, any money that, the expenditure that I spend, the money that I spend, I put it, I keep a record of what is spent, and when I sell, I also have a record of what I get from it. This now enables me to, tells me if I am selecting the right crop to plant. For example, recently I planted some Irish potato, and I was able to weigh all that I sold, all the ones that were cut, all the ones that I gave away, and the seed that was left. And normally I wouldn't do nothing like that. I would just dig up, and whatever you said, you just say, all right, you get $2 or whatever. But no, I mark down everything, and every money that I got, at the end I could say, I earned this from this. So I can always plant Irish potato because it did well.
Well, my involvement with the NEPA Farmer Field School project is to gain more knowledge about farming, how you go about preparing yourself for the right farming, not just the everyday as we used to doing farming but not doing it in the right way. I have learned how to conserve more, meaning like with the water. And I've also learned how to, if I'm on an hillside farm, how to use the pineapple to make pineapple barrels. So all the soil together, not really to, when that topsoil, it don't just wash away, it just stay. So we use pineapple barrels. We also use cane. You don't have to use exactly the pineapple, you can also use cane.
One of the most important things through this whole training from the Farmer Free School, from the Yallahs-Hope program, I would love for each farmer to be a part of. One of our main challenges before was water, and Farmer Free School changed that. We learn how to actually conserve water and use it back on our farm. So we does the rain harvesting and the drip and all of that, and it's actually work out better than what we used before.
I've learned that when you put the fertilizer on the farm, not to just scatter it wholesale like that and leave it open. You have to cover it to keep in the nutrients. I have decreased the amount of fertilizer, and I am using the mulch from the grass. Even the grass that we cut from the field, I use the grass to mulch.
I would like to say a big thank you to NEPA for the Yallahs-Hope Watershed project that they have put on through the Farmer Free School. It had a significant impact to our community, and it's something that we are looking forward to if there could be an extension. We have a lot of young farmers who are actually interested in it, and it's something that the community at large right now are looking forward to. So most of the persons are farmers who didn't get a chance to participate in it are now seeking and asking if there would be an extension for it, because they now see the benefit of it that it brings to us in the community, and would like and would love actually to be a part of it. Because water is life, may I beg you, protect the watershed.
Healthy watersheds, better lives.
Hello, I'm Sanique Smith. I'm a participant in the Yallahs-Hope Watershed project, school's watershed action group called SWAG. Here are some lessons I've learned. Water supplies animals, its habitats, and is used for recreation, which are all dependent on the watershed. A watershed or catchment is an area that drains to a common point. It supplies water by surface or below ground flow to drainage system. Water harvesting is to reuse the water from the rain to plant, bathe, wash, and clean. Water quality instruments are used to measure dissolved oxygen, pH, temperature, and other data. The data can be used for watershed assessments and meet requirements for the Natural Resources Conservation Authority. Some of the causes of water pollution are fertilizers and pesticides. Trees are very important for watershed. If you cut down one tree, you should replant 2 trees. The types of plants are used for contour farming are pineapples, couscous, and sugarcane. Planting trees in farming are important because it helps to prevent soil erosion, to provide habitats for animals, and to provide shade for many crops. Finally, global warming is the heating of the Earth's surface. When global warming occurs, the ice in the Arctic area starts to melt, and there will be an increase in sea levels. I'm excited to have been a part of the SWAG. Thanks to the Yallahs-Hope Watershed Project and the National Environment and Planning Agency for allowing me the opportunity to learn and share. Thank you for listening.
Watershed is an area of land that drains rainwater into one location, such as a stream, lake, or wetland. These water bodies supply our drinking water, water for agriculture and manufacturing, and also offer opportunities for recreation, such as swimming and fishing. Some of the major threats to a watershed are the excessive use of fertilizers and insecticides, and also forest fires. We had learned also about the Yallahs-Hope Watershed Project from another guest speaker. His name was Mr. Robert Tulloh from the Rural Agricultural Development Authority. They would go to several farms and they would walk around the produce and check for bugs or bug eggs. If you found one, it would be best to crush it to prevent it from growing. We were told that it is best to walk in a Z or Y formation. He told us that if you want to prevent snails from coming to your gardens and farms, to set bottles of expired beer, or you could set a salt wall. He also told us about ingredients that can make pesticides such as garlic, hot pepper, and neem. We were also told about IPM. IPM stands for Integrated Pest Management. He told us what they did. It had to do with controlling the pest levels on farms. If the first option, such as walking in the farms and removing pests or using homemade pesticides, fails, the last resort would be to use chemical pesticides that could harm the watersheds. The time that we spent was very informative. I, along with all the other persons that joined, enjoyed it. I would like to thank SWAG for lending their time to teach us. They taught us many things about the watershed. On behalf of everyone, I express my gratitude towards them.
We don't ever talk anymore. We don't even know what we argue about. Don't even say I love you no more. Saying how we feel is no longer allowed. Some people hurt each other. Why do we put love away? Let's go into the water, let's try. We might watch our life pass us by. Let's go into the water, let's try. We'll make the biggest mistake of our life. Don't do it, baby. We don't even talk anymore. We don't even know what we argue about. People say I love you no more. Some people hurt each other. Why do we put love away? Let's go into the water, let's ride. We might watch our life pass us by. Let's go into the water, let's ride. We'll make the biggest mistake of our lives. Don't do it, baby. Why do we hurt each other? Why do we put love away? Let's go into the water, let's ride. We might watch our life pass us by. Let's go into the water, let's ride. We'll make the biggest mistake of our lives. Don't do it, baby. Don't do it, baby. Don't do it, baby.
There could be no greater or more fitting selection. Let's not wait till the water runs dry. And to tell us about the achievements that will prevent the water from running dry, we will have the project managers, Lorene Jones and Andre Reed from the Project Implementing Unit.
Yallahs-Hope project, or rather, the integrated management of the Yallahs-Hope River Watershed Management Areas project. A long battle, a hard battle, but here we are. With a project named so long, Lorene, it is no surprise that we have been at this for 6 years. 6 long years.
But the years were worth it though, Andre. After all, the Yallahs-Hope River Watershed Management Units are two of the island's most severely degraded watersheds. They represent the lifeline of the Kingston metropolitan area as they provide up to 40% of the water required by the Kingston residents.
Over the years, various agencies such as RADA, Forestry Department, NWC, and NEPA have worked towards the conservation and management of the upper Yallahs-Hope. But it's a very hard area to tackle. Over time, it became more apparent that a key component of watershed management was missing.
The missing link was partnership. Indeed, it was through partnership that we have achieved the great successes within these critical watersheds.
We have to big up all our partners, RADA, Forestry Department, NEPA, JCDT, NWC, RRA, Med Service, PIOJ, Ministry of Finance, and our farmers, who are all key ingredients in the successful implementation of our project.
Over the last 6 years, the Yallahs-Hope project has proven itself to be a model for watershed management in the island. The project began implementation in October 2014 with a budget of $3.9 million US. This may sound like a lot, but recall the fires of 2015 in the project area, which dealt a blow to the agricultural sector, which equaled our budget in a matter of days.
There were many hurdles, Lorene, but we had sprint hurdlers on our team. On the first leg, we had Nelsa, who passed the baton on to Lorene. Supporting the hurdlers, we had the Yallahs-Hope team, Joan, Jodine, Christine, Shanice, Patrice, Wade, Jodiel, Maxie, and Brady.
You forgot yourself, Andre. The energy from our partners was equally heartening. The discussions at the project steering committee meetings, ably led by our chair, Barbara Scott, and our co-chair, Mr. Ainsworth Carroll, served to coach us through and over the hurdles encountered.
And when quality became a concern, the technical working group spent hours combing through each report, providing useful insights for improvement. Many times we had to call in the big guns at IDB to assist. Yuri, Cherise, Jovan, Leon, Martin, Joseph, and Sudani. They were always willing to provide assistance. Without a doubt, this project is here today because of a team approach.
The results achieved using this collaborative approach are unquestionable. At the end of the project, 39,000 megatons of carbon have been sequestered, and it is projected that over the next 5 years, the project work will contribute to the sequestering of over 206,000 more megatons of carbon. And if this wasn't exciting enough, there has been an estimated reduction of sedimentation of 10% within these watersheds.
The design of the Yallahs-Hope project also established a platform for a data-driven approach to watershed management. The results mentioned by Lorene come to us through targeted intervention within the watershed area. Data acquisition to support this was primarily achieved through the project's first component, institutional strengthening and capacity building for biodiversity.
Activities under this component provide the framework for the drafting of the watershed management policy for the entire island and the review of the much-needed review of the watershed areas management mechanism, both of which are key products to ensuring long-term sustainability of the outcomes of the Yallahs-Hope project.
The Hydromet study highlighted the areas within the watershed that generated the most sediments, and we assigned a priority ranking to each. In turn, these provided a guide for replanting initiatives within the watershed.
The level of sediments produced and its relationship to anthropogenic factors were unearthed in the socioeconomic study. High levels of environmental dependency were observed within areas of the watershed that produced the highest levels of sediment. It also highlighted the stark reality of our stakeholders within the area, with individuals on average taking home less than $20,000 per month.
The project, however, did not just conduct studies. We did a lot of doing. We commissioned the GIS-based decision support system, the platform for integration, a web-based solution that will allow for much-needed data sharing among all partners, and for the seamless integration of watershed considerations into the wider development process. We also procured 5 hydrological stations and 6 meteorological stations to support ongoing monitoring efforts within the area, the data from which is anticipated to be ported to the GIS DSS, which in turn will guide targeted interventions in the future.
Component 3 of the project saw the bulk of the underground execution. Again, it was through the merits of an integrated approach that we were able to achieve the success. We trained over 400 farmers through the Farmer Field School approach led by RADA. We replanted over 500 hectares of degraded lands in partnership with the RADA and the Forestry Department, and also conducted fire management training of the farmers, which was led by the Forestry Department and the Jamaica Fire Brigade. All of this was in fulfillment of the objective of improving farming practices within the communities in the upper watershed.
The testimonials we heard earlier were replicated throughout the watershed area, with stories of agricultural innovation and resilience that have been enabled under this project. Indeed, the project recognized the need for a balanced approach, the need to balance the objective of conservation with the needs of our farmers, some of whom do not have any water on their very own farms. After all, how are we to say to our farmers that we are trying to conserve and provide water for residents in the Kingston area, while at the same time they do not have water? It is in recognition of this that the project in its final leg undertook a partnership with RADA to provide irrigation systems for farmers within the area.
These results are indeed remarkable, and it should not end with the Yallahs-Hope project. Component 2 provides the way forward for a continued intervention within the area with the design of the English-speaking Caribbean's first payment for ecosystem services scheme.
Pest schemes across the world have demonstrated the merits of this approach to conservation management. Stakeholders under the project were exposed to schemes in Costa Rica, where they witnessed the recovery of the cloud forests and improvements in water supply. They were also exposed to pest schemes in Mexico, which demonstrated rebirth of its forest cover through partnership with community groups.
We are, however, not our neighbors. So the scheme for Jamaica explored the realities of our existing legislation and partnership arrangements and provided a framework through which the results in Mexico and Costa Rica can be replicated and exceeded within our jurisdiction. The scheme is fully designed and awaiting implementation.
We had our challenges, but each challenge offered an opportunity for introspection. Key lessons coming out of the project included the need for a strong participation at design, the need for a pre-implementation phase, and the need to balance project complexity with host capacity. Importantly, the Yallahs-Hope project reminded us of the need to shift watershed management away from a projectized approach and move instead to a long-term programmatic approach, which requires sustained action and commitments from all our stakeholders here today.
So, where do we go from here? It should not be lost today the intent of the Yallahs-Hope project and the designers which conceptualized this undertaking as becoming a model for watershed management on the island. At the fore of our thoughts this afternoon should be the reality that in spite of our successes, work still remains to be done. The project has proven the model. It is now left to each stakeholder to stand firm in our commitment to replicate the successes of the Yallahs-Hope project across the island's remaining watersheds. Because we all need clean water for drink.
So we have to protect the watershed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Many, many achievements there. And as you're all aware, it takes cash to care. So at this point, we'll invite the persons who played a critical part in funding this project, who can, today say that their money was well spent, right? Now we invite the guest speaker from the IDB, the Chief of Operations here in Jamaica, Mr. Lorenzo Escondor.
Good afternoon, everyone. The occasion of the closeout of this important project. I'm from a very small country, very flat, without mountains. So let me tell you how blessed you are with the Blue and John Crow Mountains, a UNESCO-recognized World Heritage Site. I'm in the mountains. I wonder only if the hills could talk about what they say. Perhaps they will say we have shelter provided and inspired the Taínos, the Maroons, the Spanish and English colonizers, and the contemporary Jamaican citizens. Perhaps they will say their continued endurance and provision of key ecosystem services such as water and food is threatened by global climate change and exploitation. Perhaps they will say that humanity is taking more from them than giving back, and imperiling their continued integrity and existence as we know it. The mountains are talking, but are we really listening? In November 2020, the hills around Gordon Town spoke. How we listen? As several you know, we will be very familiar. The IDB, as an executive agency of the Global Environmental Facility, has supported the government of Jamaica with an investment grant of $3.9 million since 2014 and a technical cooperation of $300K since 2017. Toward the integrated management of the Yallahs-Hope Watershed, unit located east of Kingston on the southern range of the Blue and John Crow Mountains. While we are here to congratulate the government, NEPA and its project execution unit, and this amazing team for turning around program performance and to help the achievement of the program, as well as to mark its official close, the IDB would like to take this opportunity to also first advocate for sustainability of the momentum of this important work and for it not to simplify, fade away as projects can often do. Second, reinforce the critical importance of adequately valuing, pricing, and or monetizing natural capital, its ecosystem service and risk. And third, flag the future opportunities presented by this approach to mobilize multi-source channels of consistent, sustainable financing for watershed management. It is well known that our Caribbean region is highly dependent on its natural capital stock. It's powered tourism, it provides water, it provides food, amongst a myriad of the other important services. Yet, our economies have consistently neglected to account for the value of this market and non-market services provision and to identify what is the most optimal minimal continuing reinvestment of public funds and agent effort that should be made for us to consistently enjoy a high quality and stable supply of such services. This long-standing economic invisibility of natural capital continues to be a problem. Economic arguments to support public policy and investment in natural capital and ecosystem services are often weak due to the complexities involved in valuing this life support system. There are now emerging global standard approaches under the system of environmental economic accounting developed by the UN, European Union, FAO, IMF, OECD, and the World Bank, which enable assessment of economic impact of public policy and investment in terms of gross domestic product and employment, but also natural capital, including forests, fisheries, and water. Going forward with implementing and refining the payment for ecosystem services PES model that has been developed under the Yallahs-Hope project remains a significant opportunity to mainstream the value of natural capital into Jamaica's national accounting. Moving in this direction is important for a number of reasons. It is a potential opportunity to attract and capture concessional international climate finance. The program has technically appraised the watershed, identified priority areas in need of remediation, identify cost-effective interventions, develop a cost multi-agency, multi-year plan, and coordination mechanism for each agency to execute its individual respective mandate for watershed management, develop a geographic information management and decision support system, and develop an independent verifiable means of results, achievement, and progress reporting, etc. Because if its component and its contracted architecture is considerable attractive to capturing climate finance. Such an architecture is capable of demonstrating significant measurable potential result achievement through carbon and economic climate adaptation. A key question how is the legacy of the architecture built by the project going to be leveraged going forward? Is the market potential of this architecture recognized? Going forward with the past implementation, it is also an opportunity to ensure that the optimal amount of public expenditure is reinvested in maintaining ecosystem and watershed services. Without the right amount of investment in environmental maintenance, enhancement and sustainability, degraded ecosystem and increased risk to build infrastructure, settlements, and livelihoods. If we know what is the value that the environment is contributing both in market and non-market services to GDP, we'll be in a better position to better allocate the right amount of and type of resources for their maintenance and sustainability. This prevents the risk of being in the future position where the quantum of resources required to remediate environmental services and or mitigate loss and damages becomes very beyond the reach of the public financial system. The best implementation is also an opportunity to increase efficiency by optimizing government agency coordination and collaboration rather than competition. The establishment of a sustainable financial model for watershed management and operation architecture to deliver the sustainability of key ecosystem services will allow national environment institutions to focus more on achieving field results. And finally, the PES implementation is a great opportunity to build out a sustainable financial model for supporting the maintenance of all the 26 Jamaica watershed management units. NEPA and its key sister agencies, RADA, Forestry Department, WRI, NIC, PRJ, and other participating stakeholder communities and farmers are deserving of recognition for the project achievement. We wish to thank the project execution team, current and past project managers for their commitment to advancing and achieving these project outcomes. The project has delivered some significant achievements which need to be creatively used and for which the investment needs to be sustained going forward. We encourage the government to observe and reflect on the build value secure and how these gains can be best leveraged and built on in the context of future disrupting and transforming approaches to environment financing and management. Thank you very much.
At this moment, we will like to take an opportunity to thank all the partners who've played a critical role in this project. I invite once again to the stage Mr. Andre Reed and Lorraine Jones to award the participants in the implementation of the project. The first awardee for the Certificate of Excellence from the PIOJ is Miss Shashian Thomas. Another awardee in the same category for the Certificate of Excellence is Miss Donna Lowe. And the Next award goes to the representative from the Rural Agricultural Development Authority, the director, Mr. Vaughn Barnaby, and he'll be presented with a plaque of excellence. And on behalf of Miss Barbara Scott from the PIOJ, we'd like to invite Miss Shashian Thomas to accept our special award, a self-portrait of Miss Scott, as well as a native piece. And up next, we invite who's already at the stage, on behalf of the IDB, we want to ask Mr. Andre Reed to accept the special award for Mr. Yuri Chakalal, who also is awarded with a portrait and a native art piece. Also, we have a special award for the CEO of the implementing agency, Mr. Peter Knight, who also is awarded with a portrait and a native piece. And we welcome to the stage Mr. Gregory Thomas, Senior Manager of Projects. Excellent, as usual. We'd like to take the opportunity to thank special awardees who are not here with us because of social distancing. Miss Claire Bernard, Winsome Miller, Gillian Guthrie, Ainsworth Carroll, Peter Clark, Andrea Allen, Mark Barnett, Jerome Smith, Peter Thompson, Nelsa English Johnson, Kevin Chambers, Adrian Shaw, and Joan Wilson Kelly. All will be awarded today with their special plaques of excellence. Also, we'd like to take an opportunity to award or make mention of all 40 persons who have contributed significantly to this project. At the end of this program, you'll see in the credit section a special thanks to you. These persons are from the agency PIOJ. the Ministry of Housing, Urban Renewal and Climate Change, NEPA, Water Resources Authority, the National Water Commission. Also from the Forestry Department, Jamaica Conservation Development Trust, RADA, Meteorological Service of Jamaica, and the project implementing team, as well as the Jamaica Fire Brigade. Thank you all. So at this time, we're going to close strong. We're going to close with Mr. Thomas, the Senior Manager of Projects at the National Environment and Planning Agency, who will give us a special remark on behalf of the agency, as well as the vote of thanks. Mr. Gregory Thomas.
Mr. Peter Knight, CEO and Chief Town Planner of the National Environment and Planning Agency. Mr. Vaughn Barnaby, Senior Director of the Rural Agricultural Development Agency Authority. Ms. Donna Lowe, Principal Director of the Forestry Department. Ms. Sashian Thomas, Project Economist in the Planning Institute of Jamaica. Ms. Lorraine Jones, Immediate Former Project Manager of the Yallahs-Hope Watersheds Area Management Project. Mr. Andre Reed, Project Manager of same project. Our guest speaker today, Mr. Lorenzo Escondier, Chief Operating Officer in the Inter-American Development Bank, the IDB. Saludos. Yallahs-Hope project partners present here today. To the staff from the National Environment and Planning Agency. Other specially invited guests, ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls. A pleasant afternoon to you. I am pleased to welcome everyone here today and to bring greetings on behalf of the National Environment and Planning Agency to the closeout ceremony for the Yallahs-Hope River Watershed Area Management Project. Our CEO deems the National Environment and Planning Agency the premier environment and planning agency for over the past 12 years. This project to him has been one of the most critical interagency partnerships executed over the nation's environmental landscape. Today, we're here to celebrate. We're here to celebrate what many, including myself, would call one of the greatest environmental comebacks of the decade. We're here at a stage when I would not be able to tell this joke that Lazarus, the project was like Lazarus, and the project was revived. It has been resuscitated by an action-packed team led by Ms. Lorraine Jones, immediate past project manager. But enough about biblical jokes. My sincere gratitude is extended to the project team and to our partners who have stayed the course and finished strong. Special recognition goes out to the Planning Institute of Jamaica and the team, namely Ms. Barbara Scott, Ms. Claire Bernard, Winsome Miller, and the remainder of the team. Kudos and special recognition is in order to the integrated partnership led by the CEOs from the Forestry Department, RADA, National Water Commission, Managing Director of the Water Resources Authority, Sir Peter Clark, Director of the Meteorological Service of Jamaica, and the Executive Director of the Jamaica Conservation and Development Trust. We have had the privilege to watch the project make significant strides over the years in an attempt to conserve the Yallahs-Hope Rivers watershed management units. You see, the success of this project must also be credited to the vibrant and enthusiastic support from the residents, business persons, in particular, the farming community of these critical water management units. I would like to highlight 7 key achievements seen under this project. 6 years ago, the project set out to address the severe degradation from prolonged human activities and the impact of climate change. The project addressed the threats and concerns of these water management units and provided a broader platform for an integrated approach to watershed management on the island. Through this holistic approach, the project can today celebrate its top 7 successes. 1, reforestation of over 500 hectares of degraded lands. 2, engagement of over 5,000 individuals on sustainable land management practice. You would have heard in the remarks brought by Mr. Vaughan Barnaby mention of this. Conversion of over 1,000 hectares into sustainable managed lands. Number 4, design of a geographic information system-based decision support system. Number 5, design of the Payment for Ecosystem Service Scheme, commonly referred to as EcoSIP. Number 6, update of the watershed policy for Jamaica. And finally, review of the watershed area management mechanism, often referred to as the WAM. Project managers and former project managers, Ms. Lorraine Jones, Ms. Nelsa English Johnson, and Mr. Andre Reed, will have given you details about these achievements that have taken place in the program, and we want to just extend a hearty gratitude for them for steering the project to this finality that we're seeing today. The most essential lesson that this project has imparted on our nation is that environmental conservation is the responsibility of every man, woman, boy, and girl living in our beautiful country and those who visit our shores. I am heartened that this project's success has highlighted that which individual effort we as a people can conserve our marine and terrestrial environment, our flora and fauna, and the ecosystem services that they offer, leveraging opportunities to earn a living at the same time. As the project comes to a close, I am confident that those who are on the right path to managing and protecting our nation's natural resources in the Yallahs-Hope Rivers watershed management units, that we extrapolate the lessons to other WMUs that may have been impacted across the island. I'm also hopeful and that we will all play our parts in managing and protecting Jamaica's land, wood, air, and water. Thank you for coming out today. And let me just extend in giving a vote of thanks to the persons who made today possible, to the members of the Yallahs-Hope River Watershed Project Executing Unit who worked tirelessly to ensure that we could have a wonderful ceremony today, to the band, to the members of staff of the National Environment and Planning Agency, to the members of our partner agencies, the Planning Institute of Jamaica, the Forestry Department, RADA, the Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Finance, to all our CBOs and NGOs who have worked with us, the JCDT, and so on. We want to extend our heartiest thank you to you for extending yourselves and giving human service to this project. To the persons in this institution that we stand here delivering this address, we want to thank you for allowing us to be here today and delivering this to the wider nation. And we want to thank those who have made this possible. For even what comes to you as not much effort, we greatly appreciate it, and we wish you all well. We look forward to the results of this project in years to come. We look forward to see continued development, and we look forward to see an adoption of the WAM across all the watershed management units in the island. We look forward to the implementation of the water policy in the country, and we want to just say once more, take care of our watersheds, walk good, and be safe. Have a good evening. Thank you.
We don't even talk anymore. We don't even know what we argue about. Don't even say I love you no more. Saying how we feel it's no longer allowed. Some people will work things out, and some just don't know how to change. content to